Hello and welcome to the BurnCast. I'm Brady Byrne.
And I'm Kim Cass.
Today we're looking at a book called Ixchel's Secret by author Natasha George Petra. As always, any criticisms directed towards the authors of works that we discuss are exaggerated for entertainment purposes and are not meant to be taken personally. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoy the show. Let's talk about Ixchel's Secret.
Let's talk about Ixchel's Secret, and let's talk about the secrets within.
Yes, this is going to be a very interesting book to talk about because it's sort of a book that we put on the back burner.
Yes, well, it was our punishment book.
Yes, now our punishment book is a book that we found a while ago and figured we'd dig into if one of our ones that we found on book hunts didn't pan out. And the book hunts didn't pan out, and it brought us back to Ixchel's Secret. And yes. Boy, am I glad it did.
Well, by definition of punishment book, it's like if we struggle to find a book, this is the book that we'll look at. It's like the book that we didn't want to look at, you know? I mean, and where else to start other than with the cover? And, well, the cover has changed to a very generic set of girls' eyes. Yeah. Who cares about that?
The cover we have is awesome. Well, it's terrible. But
it's terrible, but at least it's
much
something.
Better. Yeah, it fits the book better because it's like a lady with a snake hat. And it's all pixelated and it looks awful.
Yeah, the colors are toned down and it's in shade and it's like faded with the background a little bit. I don't know what's going on, but it looks like shit.
Yeah, there's a planet randomly in the background, but that's not really what made us want to pick it up. It was actually the book's trailer.
Yes. Now, I have been so happily surprised that so many of the books that we seem to find have got their own trailers out there on the internet.
If you've never seen a book trailer before, go find one because they are awesome.
Yeah, they are like a parody of themselves. You know, they're so perfectly bad, you know, that they don't describe what's happening. They're so boring and they are so generic. And it's hard to be bad at all of those things all at once. You know? It really is. I've tried.
Yeah. Now Ixchel's Secret really ticked all the boxes with the trailer. It's got like random images of a guy running in a forest and then a lady looking at a pebble and then they're in bed, and it's just all over the place.
Yeah. Now, you can see that actually on our channel. It is great. It's a great trailer for a great book.
Yes.
In the BurnCast term.
Yes. Now, Ixchel's Secret, it's going to be a tough one to talk about because there's really something more to this book than we originally thought.
Well, the title says it all. It's Ixchel's Secret, and there are secrets in this book that may or may not have been written on purpose. But it has a palpable subtext.
Yes, that's the tricky thing about doing this show is sometimes we find a book like this and on the surface, if you just read it, it just seems like a bad, lazy book. This is a book about people going to Mayan ruins and finding artifacts and like it's extremely boring, like the plot of it. Yeah. However, I don't know if we just read too much into it, but...
No, Brady. You're absolutely mistaken. Just like the racism or sexism that comes through in other books doesn't matter. The subtext is someone's emotional background. It's where they wrote the book from. And if you are racist, the book comes out racist. Now, this isn't necessarily racist. No. Not at all, actually. No. However, there is subtext.
Oh, yeah.
Big.
Yes.
And it grows on you, this idea. And it's kind of one of these things. It's one of these tricky subjects that's very touchy. But as it comes through, I don't know whose side I'm falling on.
Yeah. By a certain point, there's almost no denying that the subtext in this book is the real story. Yeah. And that the cover of it, this story about
this Mayan thing.
It's garbage. Like it's written poorly. The plot is uninteresting. The characters suck. But if what we're reading into it is the actual story, then I think it's fucking brilliant.
Yeah. Now that is the big question. That is the big question for today's episode. Is it brilliant or is it trash?
Yeah, that's gonna
because if the subtext is written on purpose, this book is brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, it's not, but I don't know. Like,
it's at least interesting.
Yeah, it's at least interesting because the book has all the BurnCast. I mean, like this book is riddled with massive random formatting gaps. I don't know how to describe it. The language is poorly written. Now it seemed to be from like English is a second language. Yeah, you know, those are the sort of mistakes that I was seeing. You know, we're used to that. We can look past that. Yeah. We can look back into the subtext within.
Yes. Now, when we get this story started, our main character's name is John, and he is married to a woman named Alicia. And now John is probably one of the worst protagonists we have ever come across in the BurnCast.
Yes, he is dumb as bricks.
Yeah.
He is absolutely lazy.
Insensitive.
He is insensitive. He is a piece of shit in all forms of the word.
Yeah, we start off, it's Alicia's birthday, and not only has John completely forgotten about this, but
he has not gotten a present yet, and he doesn't even know what to get her.
No, he knows so little about his own wife, and his inner monologue is a constant throughout the book, and it is rather pathetic. I mean, it's just him beating himself up like,
I haven't got what it takes. I don't deserve any of this. I don't give a fuck about anyone. Like, he literally says, I don't even like my best friend because he makes me feel insecure because he's so much better than me.
He's so much better looking too.
Yeah.
And he has thoughts like, Alicia's always telling me to work out, and I should really listen to those Facebook groups that tell me I should have a six pack.
Yeah, but he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
The only thing he really cares about is pizza and his couch and his TV. Yeah. I mean, he's like Homer Simpson, except at the end of the episode, he'll like win Marge back or like something. And like,
no, but this guy he just sucks.
He just sucks the whole way through.
Yeah. After work, he runs into his best friend Gary.
Yeah. Now, Gary is a strapping man. He's known John for his whole life, but he's bigger. He's always been the sort of bigger brother kind of guy to him. He's super kind. He's done well for himself.
He's got a great girl
going on, and while he's talking a lot about his own life and all of his great things, but he is also out there helping John. Like, he's not like a douchebag who's coming in like bragging about his hot piece of ass. No, he's coming in and he's genuinely being nice. And he meets randomly John on the street, who is on his way to retrieve a present, but John doesn't even know where he's going.
He doesn't even know where to fucking start.
No, and he decides to point him in the right direction, so to speak.
Gary says, hey, I know the perfect shop to get the perfect gift for your wife, Alicia. And he takes him into like an antique store, and there they get this statue of Ixchel, the Mayan goddess. And we don't know that just yet.
And John's like out view on this is like, oh, my wife loves ancient shit.
Yeah, she likes old stuff.
Yeah, I
guess this is a good gift.
And we're like, maybe she's a bit of a bitch. Like, at this point in the story, we don't really know her at all.
The whole thing is filtered through John's perspective, and he just
doesn't care about anything. Yeah. So he picks up the statue and takes it home and tries to sneak it inside the house for some reason to give it to her at midnight.
And she discovers that he has a gift for her, and this is a huge problem for him because she discovered that he got her a gift for her birthday.
Yeah, and he thinks, oh, now I've ruined it. As if like it had to be a surprise, otherwise it was not worth it.
And he thinks, I'm so pathetic that my girlfriend is overjoyed with the fact that I've just remembered her birthday. And I think, yeah, that is pathetic.
Yeah, that is pathetic,
That's
John.
the bar she's working with.
Yeah, the bar is so low. Even the idea that you remembered her birthday, she is absolutely happy about. And it's like remarkable that you did that.
He gives her the gift, and she's like, wow, it's Ixchel, the Mayan goddess. I love ancient stuff. And don't you remember, John? I restore ancient artifacts at the museum. And John's like, what? I didn't know that.
Yeah, like he can't even remember his wife's job. And not even his wife's job, but his wife's passion. I mean, Alicia is absolutely artifact obsessed. She is indie. She's an absolute historical nut. You know? She's crazy about this sort of stuff. And he can barely remember her profession, her job.
He rebukes at the most basic phrasing of archaeological subjects. She's like, oh, these are hieroglyphs. And John's like, I've never heard this word in my life.
How are these people together?
Yeah, that's what I wonder. Yeah. I mean, she's a smart, driven girl with lots of interests.
And she's described as being quite attractive.
Oh, yeah.
John is always like, oh, her soft, bouncy hair. It's not like she's got big titties and a big ass. No, it's like she is so lovely. She's so sweet. She's so beautiful. I love her smile. There's this like real passionate sort of idea that like this girl is really lovely and she's really smart. And John literally ridicules her for like enjoying ancient stuff. Yeah. And he's just obsessed with his couch and the pizza and the TV shows.
Yeah, for her birthday, what they have for dinner is John extracts a cold pizza from the day before and falls asleep on the TV.
With cheese all over his collar. Like, he's an absolute piece of shit. He's like a literal pig.
He doesn't even share the pizza with her.
Like, while she's like, okay, yes, you got the present there.
Well, Gary picked out for her. Yeah, he didn't even get it out. Gary knows his wife far better than John does.
Yeah. And now you've got him who's like, literally, he's still unhappy because he just assumes that the surprise was ruined. And like, this guy's self-esteem is so low that like, he can't even take pride in claiming ownership over Gary's kindness. He's not even like, he still thinks that this whole thing was a fuck up and that like it's not good for anybody and she should just give up on her dreams. And like, why does she even like ancient shit? This is all so stupid. I hate statues. I just want to eat pizza.
Hearing the words conquistador and hieroglyph tucker him out for the day.
Yeah, like he's literally like, oh my God, these big words are too big for my brain. That is a quote. Yes. I am quoting the book.
Yes. Like, okay, this guy just sucks. Like all around. He's a shit boyfriend. He doesn't know anything. He's got a shitty accounting job. He can't even pick a gift for his own fucking wife.
And his self-esteem is rock bottom. He is the most pathetic guy I've ever read as a main character.
Yeah. And so at 3 a.m. on her birthday, John wakes up in a pile of melted pizza cheese.
Yeah.
And the TV is still on. And Alicia is all excited about the statue that John got.
She's been looking at it and she's discovered that within the statue itself is a little codex, a sort of notebook of Mayan rituals, traditions, those sort of things. And she's crazy about it. She's like, literally, it's 3 a.m. and
she's excited.
She's having the best birthday ever, and he is not involved at all.
No, in fact, his inner monologue is, man, she's so excited about this. I regret getting her that gift, which he didn't give her.
Yeah.
Gary got
He literally regrets it because like she's going on and on about it and he doesn't want to hear about her happiness anymore on her fucking birthday.
And the next day, he gets a call from a credit card company saying that he's got like a free trip or something because of his points.
He's accumulated enough points to get a upgrade, or it doesn't even say upgrade. It says you're being graded up. Like it's
it's really bad.
The wording of it is very confusing. So instead of getting this upgrade, she offers him this holiday trip. You can go to Peru, you can go to France, you can go to wherever, or Belize. You can go to Central America, Belize. And he's, weighing these things up, and he decides to go to Belize.
Yeah, because he's just discovered that his wife likes ancient stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe there's some ancient stuff there for her.
Yeah, well, it's Central America. There are Mayan stuff all around.
And he just happened to get her a Mayan statue that day.
Yeah, and he gets a random call on the same day about some sort of...
a free trip to Mayan
Belize.
Culture.
Now, John lumbers to this holiday trip with his beautiful and excited wife.
Yeah.
Now, Alicia is just so stoked. Not only has she received this amazing gift from Gary, from John. From John, of course.
And has an actual ancient artifact inside of it that is going to lead them on adventures untold.
Yeah, she's got her little codex. She's got her husband's hand, although he's complaining the whole way.
Yeah, and he takes the window seat, even though he knows she likes it.
Yeah, there are all these weird little interactions between him and her where John will say, well, I love sitting next to the window seat on the plane, right? My wife loves to sit next to the window seat as well. She loves to stare out into the skies, but she always lets me have it because she knows I likes it. And it's like, bro, why don't reciprocate that and be like, hey, maybe on this trip, you can have the window seat. Don't always take it every time.
He just wants to fucking sleep on the plane. Meanwhile, she wants to look out and engage with the wonder of the skies and things. And no, fuck that.
And again, this is from John's perspective, which is why it is so strange that John is saying, my wife loves the window seat. How nice is it that she gives it to me every time?
Yeah.
And even though she stays awake and I fall asleep instantly, it's like the guy is telling you that he's a selfish prick.
Yeah, and he knows it.
And he knows it. And it's like he doesn't understand like any other way of operating.
No.
Like being kind to his wife, to him, is as alien as the Mayan culture.
Exactly. And speaking of the Mayan culture, they do get to Belize, and there is a tour guide there named Mikkel.
Yes.
Now, he's a Mayan.
Yeah, he is a Mayan, and he is enthusiastic about Mayan culture, Mayan ruins.
Yeah.
He is the perfect guy to take them out there and do all this stuff with.
Yeah,
and Alicia is so excited. You know? She's excited by this guy and his knowledge and where he's going to take her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they're all excited to go explore unknown territory together. You know, Mikkel's going to take them out into the jungle and they're going to explore some ancient ruins, some untapped things that have been asleep for a long time and are just waiting to be woken.
Yeah, this is very titillating. You know, it could be described as a very exciting experience, but John is absolutely infuriated because he didn't know that going to Belize would be going to fucking stupid ancient ruins where he would have to walk.
Oh my God, the walking
He would have to
complaints.
do like a 2-hour walk or something like that to see some dope-ass Mayan pyramids and like, oh my God, what a waste of my time.
Like his train of thought is, oh, I hope this tour guide isn't too exciting about the Mayan stuff because that means Alicia's going to be really excited and we'll have to go see ruins and that's a lot of walking for me and I just want to be at home eating pizza.
Yeah, he's like, can I please go back to the hotel so I can eat a pizza and watch TV?
What the fuck did you think you were going to do on this trip?
My wife, can you just like seriously throw your livelihood away and just eat pizza with me on the sofa because I hate my life and I don't want you to enjoy yours either.
No, it's just eat pizza with them. He didn't share it.
Yeah, we'd never share the pizza.
There's also like subtle digs that John has towards Alicia where it's like, oh, you know, Alicia always makes me take the stairs. I think she's trying to tell me something about how I need to work out. And it's like,
maybe you should fucking work out then, you fat slob.
Or maybe she just takes a minor amount of interest in your well-being.
Yeah, like...
Whereas you're like constantly trying to shut down her interests because it leads to walking for you.
Yeah, and you don't want to walk anywhere and you hate your job and you hate your wife and you just hate life.
You hate your job so much that you'd rather be at home at your shitty job than on an adventure with your wife who's extremely excited to be there. You
get a free fucking vacation and you still want to go back to your boring accounting job that you said you hated?
What? So they go out into the jungle.
Mikkel's with them. He's their tour guide. They go out to this first pyramid and Alicia is having the time of her life. She's finally getting to experience, you know, she's been a museum restorer her whole life. This is her fucking passion. Yeah. And she's finally in the midst of it. She is an adventurer.
Yeah. Now Mikkel has taken them out into the jungle and he's got a lot of stamina.
Yeah. Now this guy, he's been into the jungle many times before and he can handle the 4x4 and he can get them out there.
Mm-hmm. He knows the right places to take them to really get the most satisfying adventure.
Yeah. So they go to this first pyramid and, you know, this is like the taste test, right? This adventure could stop here, but John has picked up this pamphlet about things, and now he's doing the bare minimum to excite his wife about future things. He's taking her on this tour. It's sort of like, you know, the whole time, this is like John is doing this for Alicia. Like, this is John's gift, even though it was a fucking free holiday that he randomly got called on the day of her birthday. Yeah. That this is a present, you know, and you can go to Belize, the place of your wife's desire. Yeah. Do you want to take her there? And he's like, I know that this is going to suck for me big time, but I'll take my wife there anyway. They go to this pyramid and blah, blah, blah. Mikkel and John have now brought up behind Alicia's back that there is a secondary temple site, a sort of city center of the Mayan people, but it's not necessarily like a well-traveled area. You know, it hasn't been fully excavated, and there are like bandits on the road, you know, on the way there. It's a sort of dangerous thing. Mikkel randomly quips that his friend took some other people there, and they got fucking robbed at gunpoint.
Yeah, you know? Well, I mean, I think they would be rather safe with Mikkel because he's kind of shredded.
Yeah, well, he is shredded, and he is a good-looking guy, and he knows his way around the jungle. He's not saying that this is not without its dangers. Right? This is not a kempt part of the road, you know. This is real hardcore stuff. Anything can happen out there. You know, there's no cell phone coverage. So it's, you know, it's a real adventure. Yeah. And if they want to go on that real adventure, John's going to have to do a lot of walking.
This isn't some kind of, you know, easy peasy tourist trap where the sense of danger is manufactured. This is a real adventure.
Yeah. Now, Alicia has already had the time of her life just going to this tourist spot.
Yeah, you could say she's almost at her peak.
Yeah. Now, they buckle up and another full chapter of John complaining goes by. And it's complaining to people It's complaining to Mikkel, it's complaining to his wife, belittling his wife's interests, criticisms, sarcastic remarks, and then complaints. In a monologue, complaints about the amount he has to walk.
Making fun of Mayan culture because Mikkel is telling them...
Like, why the fuck would anyone care about an ancient civilization? Why would anyone care about anything that's ancient? He just calls everything ancient stuff. Yeah. And blows it off like it's pointless.
At the same time, his life stream is to be an astronomer, which
is the most ancient stuff that you could consider at all.
Yeah. He hasn't thought this through.
He literally has no reason to want to be an astronomer. It's a lot of work. It requires a lot of study and a lot of dedication, a lot of passion, a lot of things that he does not possess.
He has never heard the word hieroglyph before.
And he wants to study astronomy.
Oh my God. So they're out in the jungle. They're on this treacherous path.
Now, Mikkel leads them safely to this area. And they come upon this excavation site of this big temple area.
It's massive.
The ruins run deep. Very, very deep. And they meet David. Now, David is John's best friend.
Yeah.
He's a friend from way back.
Him, Gary, and John are sort of the trifecta.
Yeah, they are the three musketeers. They're the neighborhood friends. But David's always been the mysterious one,
Yeah, and he happens to have been stationed at this Mayan ruin recently.
Yes, and he's there with his colleagues, you could say. He's got Isabella, who's another colleague of his. He's got Charlie, who is kind of an opposing academic force. So he's the one that understands language. He's the cunning linguist in this scenario. And then you have Lucio, who's the husband and colleague of Isabella. Now, he is, just hunk.
Yes.
John sees him and describes him in a way that, he's saying, like, that shirt is struggling to stay on his chest. Yeah. Like, the thing is, like, you can hear it ripping as he walks. This guy does not want to be clothed. He's ready to rip his pants off at any second.
The fabric disagrees with his very being.
I know. His body is chiseled to perfection.
Yeah. So you've got Mikkel, you've got David, you've got Lucio.
Yeah. You've got all of these guys who share Alicia's interests. They're, beautiful, intelligent.
Not only that, but they're excited. They're ready to take her on the adventure of her lifetime.
Yeah, and they're doing it as a group. They're doing it for academic purposes. They're doing it for passion purposes, and they're doing it for the thrill. They're doing it for the excitement. And all John wants to do is go home.
Yeah, miserable. In fact, he tries to sabotage things because David, the sort of leader on this expedition.
Yeah, he is. He's the natural leader. He can command anyone.
Yeah, he tells Alicia, look, I've got other excavation projects that I'm trying to get into, and I can see how interested you are in these projects, and if you would like, you can stay down here with me and get into some of this stuff. And John
could really explore some new territory.
Yeah, John is completely opposed to this.
Yes.
And in fact, he tries to guilt Alicia into going back home with him and saying,
how could you put me through this?
Yeah.
This is crazy. I don't want to be here. This is way too much walking for me. You know that I don't like walking. And
not only that, but you're not as qualified as these adventurers. Alicia, how can I beat down your self-esteem so you can think
Alicia,
that you need to be with me?
Yeah, Alicia, you're not ready to do this.
No.
You need to calm down and go home and eat pizza with me on the couch and give up these dreams you have. You're never going to make it.
No.
So they have arrived at this location and they are ready to get going. Now, there are different portions of this temple. Mikkel is explaining things as they go through. He's the real deal. He is like the actual thing, and Alicia is just in love, so to speak, with this whole project. And, and Mikkel is telling her things and she is so fascinated. She's listening. She's learning. She is experiencing her life's dream.
Yeah. And then you've got Charlie, the cunning linguist, who is interpreting this codex that Alicia has.
This guy is a master of tongues. He can get his tongue into anything, any crevice.
And so
there are different portions of this complex, the city. It really is a jungle grove of Mayan stuff down there.
Yeah, they're deep in the bush at this point.
Yeah, and they need to travel down some treacherous pathways. And the first thing is they need to travel down this river a little bit.
Yeah, now it can be, a little nerve-wracking your first time down into the ravine.
Yeah, now...
In fact, it might even hurt a little.
Yes. But this river is a rapid ride towards the end goal, and it's gushing. I mean, this thing is so wet. And everyone is strapped up for it. The only one that doesn't want to get on this river is John. He's saying, I don't want to do a group thing. No, I'm not ready for it.
He just wants to stay home and be dry his whole life.
Look, you guys are all crazy about this river thing, and I don't want to get on this raft.
Yeah, but meanwhile, Alicia is head on first.
And she is she wants to get to the end result. She wants to see things through, and she has got all the support she needs. She's got her comrades, her friends, her partner there with her. She's basically begging for it at this point, and John finally caves in.
Yeah. Meanwhile, John is trying to tell her, this venture is already over. We've seen the ruins. It's time to go home. But Alicia knows that the climax is still to come.
Yeah. No, she knows that it's far down the river and that it will take a little bit of travel to get there. So they gear up, but the first thing they encounter is a flowery, feathery serpent.
Oh, yes. Now, this is a Mayan god, so to speak.
It's a Mayan god, guardian type. It's a spiritual animal of the forest of the area.
Something, yeah. Mikkel explains it. He's a Mayan.
Yeah. He just drops expo. I want to cut in quickly and say that, while we are telling the story of this book, there is massive chunks of exposition.
Oh my God.
It is infuriating. I'm
it's awful.
Please do not tell me. Miss me with all of that stuff. Get me back into the subtext, please.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's some sort of Mayan god, protector of the forest, guardian thing.
Yeah, and John just doesn't know how to handle this new obstacle.
It is a massive python. It is a monstrous snake.
It's a massive snake, and really the only one who's coming up with a plan of how to deal with it is David.
Yeah, now he's leading the pack, so to speak. He's a real alpha male in this scenario. Yeah. And John keeps saying, I need to protect Alicia, but all he does, he climbs on limply above her, and really he doesn't do much to protect her, while David, he brings the dagger out,
the obsidian dagger,
and he can really jab it into things.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately, before he really springs into action, Isabel gets knocked from the craft that they're traveling through this river. And she becomes, sort of injured in the process.
Yes.
But David, he takes this snake to town.
Yeah. Now, he cuts off the flowers, he cuts off the feathers, and he stabs it between the eyes.
Yeah, with the obsidian dagger.
The snake recoils back into the river and dies in a burst of flames. Now, he can really tame any sort of animal, and he can really get on top of things. And David acts cool, he acts calm, he makes sure everybody's safe.
It's really no big deal to him.
His first concern is, how is Isabel doing? But Isabel's doing fine. She's a little bit shaken, but they can continue onwards. Now, John is absolutely
wonderstruck.
He has gotten through this, but he is full of complaints.
Oh, yeah.
All he wants to do is back out. The whole way through, all he's doing is, can we quit now? Can we quit now? I don't want to go and see this thing through. I don't like group things. I don't like anything.
And then we come to our next obstacle, which is another Mayan creature of sorts called the Krabraken.
Yes. Now, the Krabraken. The Krabraken is a sort of crab-like massive monster creature.
It causes an earthquake that splits the group up. Now, John, he gets stuck out with Isabel and the rest of the team, Mikkel included, and David and Alicia, they get broken off into their own little trip.
Yes. Now, we don't see what happens with David and Alicia, but we follow John along with the other two. And, of course, John is so concerned with his wife. He's more concerned about his legs and the fact that he should be sitting down right now.
Yeah.
But they rush him into one of these caves, one of these Mayan caves that is part of the temple system complex.
Something. And then they meet another Mayan monster, which is like a bat man.
Kramatsu, something like that.
This part of the story is one of the worst parts about, we'll get back to the subtext stuff, but if you're just reading this and you're thinking, I'm going to read a Mayan adventure thing, this whole section is laughably shoehorned in as a sort of Scooby-Doo haunted house of Mayan creatures. creatures.
Yeah,
it's like from page to page, they're like, and there's the serpent god, and Mikkel explains what that is, and then they go to the cave, and there's the bat thing, and then there's Cabrakan, and it's just like, okay, 1, 2, 3, we're done.
Yeah. It's
just very poorly implemented.
Yeah. Now, that's one thing. You could say that in certain ways it could be manufactured. That's not important. Lucio and Isabella and Mikkel rush John off into this cave to make sure that they escape the Cabrakan, the earthquake coming from the other side. And they rush him off, and he's going, where's Alicia? Where's Alicia? Where's Alicia?
Yeah.
And they go, look, don't worry about her so much, man. Like, we got to get out of here. You don't want to hear the earthquake.
I'm sure she's fine with David.
Yeah, I'm sure she's doing really good with David.
Yeah.
David will take care of her. You come with me now, and we'll take you away for a while, and then we'll find Alicia again.
Yeah, when the earthquakes have reached their completion.
Yeah. Now, they meet this bat monster, the Kuramatos or whatever.
Whatever it is,
It kills Lucio.
Yes.
It kills him with its knife snout.
It slashes him to bits.
Slashes him. It cuts his throat. And then they pull out their torches and they scare the beast away. John is very confused about the whole thing. He doesn't know what's going on.
I mean, he's not just confused. He completely lacks empathy. His first thought when he looks at Lucio's crippled, slashed body is, wow, he smells like a rotten pizza.
Yeah, and that blood looks like a pizza sauce. It's like he has no other analogy for anything.
Like, I'm not joking. That's like almost a direct quote. He's constantly reflecting on, wow, that blood really looks like pizza sauce.
That is a direct quote.
I mean,
when he sees the blood, he literally says, this is pizza sauce. It looks like pizza sauce. That's the only reference point he has.
Yeah.
And that's important to note, that John thinks in terms of pizza sauce, walking and stairs and things like that. Very childish sort of outlooks on life.
Yeah. Now, in the midst of all this conflict, Mikkel is explaining these Mayan ruins, and he's telling, the story of each of these gods, and he's explaining how there is a prophecy connected to this codex, how a true man, so to speak, will come and stop the cycle of destruction. It's like that whole 2012 Mayan calendar crap. It's shoehorned into this book as well. But there's the concept of the true man, and they're telling John all about how he will awaken and stop some bad prophecy from happening.
Yeah. It's the same sort of shit where it's like, instead of getting one line of there is a Mayan prophecy about, the true man and blah, 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 you get chunks of hardcore exposition that you just start to read and you're like, well, I can skip this shit because Mayan prophecy 2012, I'm good to go.
Well, but it's not just chunks of exposition. The fact that it's filtered through John's empty skull makes reading it so painful because
he even reflects on it in a monologue and says, this is dumb. I don't like this at all. The narration of the book is telling you shouldn't fucking be listening to this shit.
Yeah, and that's one of the
only care about pizza.
That's one of the weird things about it is all the description of the ruins is all so infused with this interest and passion in the subject, and then you have this guy commenting on it and
that's fucking stupid.
Yeah, wow, those ruins look like a pizza.
Yeah. My wife should what is she doing? She shouldn't give a fuck about all this shit. She should come home and eat pizza with me.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't want to walk anymore. Don't make me go down those stairs. Now, I will say that, throughout this book, there is a constant sort of antagonization of John.
Yes.
A lot of the side characters often go to John and say, come on, John.
Yeah.
You can walk down the stairs. And, even at one point, David, his best friend, apparently.
Yeah.
Tells John,
look out for those stairs,
Look
man.
out for those stairs, dude. I'll take your wife around the other side
of the temple.
Of the temple, but careful on those stairs. You don't want to hurt yourself going down them. And in an almost condescending way. You can't really detect the
It's almost there, yeah.
Yeah, it's not given in a textual form, but why would you say those sort of things? He's constantly complaining about it, and he's constantly bringing up how he hates walking and he hates stairs. He's unfit, he's unhealthy, he's fat, blah, blah, blah. And then David's just careful down those stairs. Don't worry, I'll take your wife around the other way. It will be a little bit longer, but don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's palpable. So, they're in the cave. Lucia was dead. The shredded hunk is gone.
His shirt
didn't protect him. His muscles didn't protect him either.
No, they didn't.
But they are able to work themselves deeper into this cavernous network of ruins.
Yeah.
And they finally come across David.
Yes. Now, David is not with Alicia at first.
No. David appears to them. They flash their torches at him and they say, David, where have you been? And David is a little bit, he's caught, he's a little bit roughed up. His hair's a little bit tossed. And he's got some scratch marks, some sort of cut marks.
And Alicia's nowhere to be found. The only thing they've really found at this point is her ring on the ground.
Yes. Now, it's given in a way that John finds it, and the rest of the characters say, don't worry, she'll be fine.
Yeah. I'm sure David took good care of her.
I'm sure David took good care of her. Yeah. You need to stop worrying about it. Come with me.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is where David explains what happened after the earthquake.
The earthquake happened, all the groaning and moaning and the
shaking of the earth.
Yeah, the shaking of the nearby surroundings.
And, Alicia was very shaken by this experience. David tells I sprinkled some water all over her to try to get her back to normal.
And she, apparently something came over Alicia.
She's been awoken by some sort of inner goddess.
Yeah, some sort of spirit came over her. And she simply thrust me against the slab.
She pinned him down.
And the marks you're seeing, they were from a sacrificial dagger, I'm sure. And
well, she claimed his obsidian dagger.
Yeah, she claimed the obsidian dagger that he had on him.
That he slayed the snake with.
And she took that out. And
she drained his blood.
And she drained him quite thoroughly. And Alicia is nowhere to be found.
Yes.
So they're all very concerned. Everyone in the group is very concerned with David's appearance. He looks well shook, and he said that Alicia seems to be a new woman. She's revitalized. She's become stronger. She's become more satisfied with her bodily being. And she comes out, and all of a sudden, John sets eyes upon his dear Alicia.
Yeah, and she almost doesn't recognize him.
No, she doesn't have time for any of this sort of shit anymore. She's all about the altar. She's going up to the sacrificial altar that they're all surrounding, and she's, you could say, a little bit possessed with new freedom, new spirit, new being. So they have a bit of a fight. John tries to stop Alicia from doing some sort of sacrificial spiritual ritual
which is
thing.
Connected to he's been having nightmares, which for some reason he can suddenly speak Mayan.
Yeah, and they communicate, and they have a big fight in front of the whole group. They tussle and turn, and David is sort of rubbing his forehead a little bit and going, well, I shouldn't have gotten involved in this thing.
Yeah.
And,
both Alicia and John become like half possessed by ancient Mayan gods, and then they fight.
The temple collapses.
They reset the calendar.
They reset the Mayan calendar.
It's extremely stupid.
The Kalfu appears for a moment,
and then they do some sort of ritual thing. Alicia is depossessed. She doesn't remember, being awokened or whatever. When they climb out of the cave, John is the only person who remembers all of this stuff.
Yes.
And everyone else just thinks the adventure stopped at the first ruin, and then it ends, and then there's an epilogue, and that's the end of the surface part of the story.
Wow. Yes, and the fact that Lucio still died, and
he's still dead,
and he's still dead,
and John covers it up.
And just says he's missing out in the jungle. They don't know where he is. And later in the epilogue of the book, that you hear that search parties were sent out for him. And
and John knows that they'll never find him, but he doesn't care
because he's in he's buried in the collapsed temple.
Yeah, he doesn't care because he got Alicia to quit her job as a museum restorer,
and now she makes fucking YouTube baking videos and makes pizza for him.
Yeah, he's her main critic, and he eats her pizzas.
That's it.
And then, for some reason, he is getting his PhD in astronomy.
And I don't believe that because he can't even count to fucking 10 from what I can say.
Now, this is really where you look at an ending like that and you pay close attention to the dialogue and the interactions between the characters. And you start to come to the realization that you cannot deny that the story of the Mayan temple and the adventure in the jungle is not the story that's really being told.
No, not at all.
This is a story about a woman's sexual liberation.
Yes. Now, it is important to remember that this story was written by a woman.
And in the acknowledgments, she mentions how she had her husband read the story over and over again, daily.
Yes. Now, the story features the husband as the main character.
Yeah, this is where we get into, like, are we reading this in, or is this really what the story is? And I think there's just too much evidence here for us to be looking too much into it.
Yeah. Now, we're going to present some examples. We're going to go through the story a little bit. We're going to go through the story again.
Yeah.
We're going to present some arguments of ours, and maybe you can decide what you think.
So the first thing we've got is John's incompetence in their relationship.
Yes, and his general incompetence. I mean, he must be dumb as bricks.
Yeah,
like,
and he
doesn't know the word hieroglyphs or conquistador.
It's like so over the top that he doesn't know what job she has and has no idea what her interests are, how to satisfy her.
Yeah, like his birthday, all of that shit. He doesn't know dick.
Yeah, so then we've got this interaction where he meets Gary, who seems to know perfectly where to get his wife a present and exactly what to get her.
He even knows when John is walking out the door to meet him on the street and push him into the right place. Like, it's so convenient.
Yeah, and it's also convenient that later on, their other best friend, David, is also on this magical trip that he suddenly got.
Yeah, this free trip, in quotation marks. This is so convenient to the whole plot that, like, one of his friends is going to get him this present that she will pull out this codex and find this thing about this Mayan temple in Belize, and then that very same day he's going to get a phone call from a credit card company to say he's been graded up and can pick a free trip to Belize if he so pleases. And he's going to take that, and his wife is just going to be swept off to meet David, the other friend from his childhood, who and both Gary and David know them both well for a very long time.
And then you've got Mikkel. Mikkel is the exotic hunk of the forest who is leading them into depths unknown, so to speak.
Now, I would like to think that these other men who are all described in spectacular fashion. I also thought it was funny that there was one other lady in the story, and she doesn't get her own description, really. She's just Isabel. You know,
she gets knocked off the boat by the snake.
Yeah.
She gets eliminated.
Yeah, she gets eliminated. As a potential prize of conquest. Isabel doesn't get much attention, but all of the men, and again, this is all written from John's perspective, they all get their own description of what they look like, how they are.
And John's observation of how they fulfill something that Alicia wants in him that he just can't comprehend. You've got Gary, who knows exactly what she wants, for her birthday.
And Gary is presented as the guy who knows the key to a woman's heart. So like, you get this little bit about like how he's got this woman and like how they're moving in together, and it's all like la-di-da, really cool and awesome. And then you get this. And Mikkel is the next guy that's introduced, and he's like the exotic,
wild,
he's like the wild man. He can really handle his way out there in the jungle, and like John can't do anything like that.
He can really plumb the depths of those ruins.
Yeah, he can really get in deep and find some new experiences.
Extract the archives that have been sleeping.
Yeah. And then there is David, another old friend, but one that shares Alicia's interests in archaeology.
Yeah, like historical. The letter.
Yeah, like, I mean, they're like perfect partners, really.
Yeah, and there's all this talk of like him trying to, say like, hey, Alicia, like you could stay down here in, Belize and we could go on adventures together. And John is like, no,
you can't do that. You can't do that. Yeah, no, there's no way that's happening.
And she's like, come on, John, like he's perfect for me.
Yeah, and he's really resistant to the whole thing, the whole way through. But like he cannot deny the fact that Alicia is really enjoying herself.
Yeah, and once she gets a hold of that obsidian dagger that David's carrying.
That is a game changer. The obsidian dagger, I mean, this dagger is big.
It's massive. I mean, it fells the river serpent.
Yeah, it fells the river serpent, this gigantic python. It's really difficult to tame a beast like that. And
it's covered in lily flowers. Yeah, it's a common symbol of women.
Gets rid of that disgusting Isabel.
Symbol of female fertility.
So you have this. You have symbolism. You have all these guys described in like
they represent different facets of what John doesn't. Lucio is just like the hunk. He just is shredded.
He represents the pure boy toy eye candy sort of thing. But Lucio dies, and that's kind of like Alicia is not really looking to be fulfilled in like a purely
visual way.
She is deeply more interested in a more academic, metaphysical sense. Like I want to go on intellectual journeys, not just sexual journeys. But they're somewhat intertwined, as we later find out. The monsters, they're sort of stumbling blocks, but really the serpent is to demonstrate David's masculine prowess and to sort of slap Isabel around a little bit. And then the Krabraken is there to
divide
separate
them. It's the earth-shattering moment where Alicia and David are separated.
Yeah, that's the earth-shattering moment. And then there is the bat monster, which kills the hunk and makes Isabel into a slobbering mess, because she keeps crying and stuff like that. And sort of removes her as a potential, love interest for John in any sort of way, because like after a brutal watching your future husband Lucio die or whatever, that's like she's no longer like available for
not that he's at that level where he's not thinking of his dead body as a rotten pizza.
So it's sort of made in a way that like, okay, everyone on this side of the Krabraken's event cannot have any intimacy. But on the other side,
yes.
Now, I was literally like, I was going to be so disappointed if the subtext didn't fill out in this way.
But it does. It pays off so highly, especially when they find Alicia's ring on the ground.
Yeah, that is like, are you serious?
Because she took that shit off.
A ring doesn't just fall off your hand.
No,
a wedding band doesn't fall off.
She split up with David. When ring goes on the ground.
Ring goes on the ground, but at the Krabraken set us off. We head into separate pathways. You take the ring off.
And then, after her little hiatus with David, she comes back and she's a more powerful woman that John has ever observed.
Yeah. And again, this is where like they meet David again, and he is just, like kind of startled, kind of confused about the whole thing. And they're like, please explain what happened. And David says like, I will say the quote, "So we ran from the earthquake. We reached this pyramid. Both of us were wonderstruck at the amazing relic. Once the earth became calm, we searched for all of you. We realized we were separated from you. We walked to the pyramid and hid in a corner. We stood there for a long time. We saw the engravings on the wall of the pyramid, but stood hidden for the fear of another earthquake. The earth shook again, throwing us about once more. I fell several feet away from Alicia. I sprinkled some water on her, and I felt that she was seeing herself for the first time. After she stood, she pulled me with her. There was some sort of extra strength in her now. I resisted, but I couldn't pull myself off her grip. She pulled me to this chamber and down the stairs. We reached another chamber at its end. In the chamber, she began to say some words to me that I didn't understand. She tied me to one of the tables with some ancient cords. I managed to break the cords. Then she pulled me up by my collar. I told you she had some unnatural strength, and she took hold of my dagger. Then she pushed me onto the stone table in the center, and she began to collect my blood.
Yeah, now when we look at the writing here, it is almost undeniable.
Like, of course, yes. It's some like sacrificial, blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah. Who cares?
But who cares about that? What I'm reading here is that
there was an earth-shattering moment and a period of calm afterwards.
Yes. They stood together for a long, long time.
There was some sense of inner power and recognition.
Something buried beneath the surface for a long time, but it came out.
And then another earthquake. And that's when David gets pushed to the table.
Yeah, he gets pushed to the table, and they are just like, he gets tied down. I mean, she's got a vice-tight grip on that dagger.
Yeah, now he tries.
She's got that dagger in both hands.
Yeah, the obsidian dagger, of course.
Obsidian dagger.
He tried to spray her down, but she just wouldn't quit.
Yeah, he was spraying his water all over the place, and she just wouldn't quit.
Yeah, and that's when they found the next chamber.
Yes, now this was a far deeper chamber, and it unlocked something deep within her that she had never found before, and she really came to fruition, and she came out of this a new woman.
Yes. Now
she was reborn.
There's like no other way.
From the depths of this deepest chamber.
There's no other way to read into like Okay, we talked about how the different men could represent different facets.
But this is just a clear banging scene. Like, this is just like...
David and Alicia got separated and they banged hardcore.
Yeah, really, like...
And then when she comes back, she is all, like, fired up and they have this, like, post-cheating fight.
Yeah, like this fight after the ritual where Alicia is possessed by this Ixchel, you know, and she's got the ligba and he's got the kalfu and they fight, but... It's really like you can just, if you take all the Mayan shit out of this, what do you have? Group gets separated. Guy goes away with a wife of you and they are gone for a long time. Guy comes back with scratches. Then you and wife have fight, have argument.
Now, you could tell us that we're reading a little bit too much into this, but now we're going to get into what Alicia says. These are her literal words as they're having their little post-ritual, post-cheating fight, where she has, you know, finally awoken her inner woman and been satisfied in a way that she's never been before. And she says to John, speaking for the, like, goddess that's possessed her.
But it's
just really her.
Yeah.
You destroyed all my years of hard work. You wrecked my plan to be the ultimate power. You reduced me to a statue, my soul locked up in stone for thousands of years. You tricked me into believing your prayers were for my benefit. Instead, you froze me in time with your prayers. Now I am back and I will attain power. This time you are not going to stop me.
Now, if that is not subtext for you locked me into a stupid marriage where I couldn't pursue my dreams.
You constantly suppress my interests and beat me down and try to make me feel like I'm a piece of shit like you.
I'm just a statue. I'm just a pretty little thing that's in your house.
Yeah,
all you want is pizza.
Really, Gary got for me, not John.
Yeah. Gary got that fucking statue. Now,
that's Gary. Yeah.
Gary's
like the boy at home.
Yeah, Gary's the boy at home. David's the lifelong love. Mikkel is the hunk that just could do anything.
Yeah.
And then there's Charlie, the cunning linguist, who can do anything with his tongue. And then there's Lucio, who's ripped, but already taken by another girl, so he's dead.
So you have all of this stuff. And then, you know, we were reading this and thinking, wow, this is like a shit book. But like if the subtext is really what you're reading, it's kind of a great way to explore a woman's frustrations with her marriage. Clearly the author's frustration with her own marriage.
Yeah.
And she got her husband to read it again, honey.
Read it again, but read it this time.
Yeah. Maybe there's some...
Can you read it, honey?
Yeah. Maybe there's some themes you could extract from this about John's pitfalls.
Yeah, like, can't you see how much of a piece of shit this husband is?
Yeah.
And he's a real piece of shit, isn't he? But he gets to go at the end, doesn't he? But he only changes his outlook on life a little bit. But, well, actually, that's the contradiction in this book because...
Yeah, we get to the end and you have this, like, she's still with him. She quits her job that she loves to make him pizzas. And that's when we started to think, this is like John's rejection of reality. Because he's also the character who's like, I'm the only one who remembers all the possession stuff. And we had this funny idea where it's like, maybe like none of this happened.
Yeah. Maybe this is a projected image to get over the fact that he got cheated on big time.
Oh, yeah. He got cheated on by Gary first at home. And then he tried to restore the marriage by going on the trip. And there was David.
Yeah, and David's kind of claimed it.
Yeah, and
big time.
All their other friends are sitting around there like, hey, David and Alicia, they got separated by the Cabrakan.
Yeah.
We're in a different cave now. Let's go into this wacky Scooby-Doo haunted house where you'll be really distracted.
And then they get out of there, and all of a sudden, he's the only one that remembers the Cabrakan and the serpent, and everyone's like, what are you talking about? Like...
And so in his twisted reality, he's saved the world by stopping the ritual and resetting the Mayan calendar. And it just makes you think, like, this guy is in complete denial.
Yeah. And he, now what? His wife quits the job that she loves to be a YouTuber? A YouTuber that does baking?
Who makes pizzas.
Who makes pizzas on YouTube. Yeah. And then he's the critique. And, like, he's an astronomer now, like... I'm pretty sure what happened.
It's like the pathetic wish fulfillment ending.
Yeah, it's like the author wrote this ending so that
her husband
wouldn't be like, what the fuck? Like she ended up with Gary or something like that. No. In this story, oh yeah, of course, honey. Of course, the husband and wife end up together. Look,
the wife just wants to make him pizza.
Yeah, the wife just wants to make him pizza now. That's how stories like this end. You know, it's done in like almost like I'll just put this in so that I can say that this is what happens to my husband.
Because it's just like a shoehorned in epilogue.
So that like the the husband is not going to look at the story too critically, or at least it's not so fucking clear, even though it really is.
Yeah, so at the end of this book, we're left thinking this is either a pile of shit about a boring Mayan excavation mission with a bunch of vapid characters and the worst protagonist I've ever seen, or it's like
a subtle dig at the most shitty husband and the wife that is going to write a whole book about this. And like, can you read it for me, husband? Can you read it?
Can you read it again?
Can you read it again? And remember that this husband is supposedly dyslexic in real life.
Yes, that's what it says in the acknowledgements.
Yeah, so and it makes a clear point in the book right at the beginning to mention that she made him read it multiple times.
Yeah.
This is not something that like, it's like an acknowledgement. It's a thank you. Thank you, husband, for reading this so many times.
Yeah.
You really got the message, didn't you?
It's really
Thank you for supporting me.
Yeah, condescending.
Yeah, I only really picked up on that after the fact, you know.
Well,
usually I look at those things and laugh and go like, haha, oh my God, it must have been so much of a pain in the ass for the guy to read this and be like, oh, it's so good, honey, thank you. But this time I'm like, this book was for him.
Yeah, and that's the thing about subtext is like, the reason you can call it good subtext is like, we don't have that definitive like moment where like there's just no denying it. Despite all the little references and like the way the characters treat John,
the ring on the floor,
like
the earthquakes going off when
it's like 99% there for me to just say that's what this book is. But like the fact that you don't have the proof makes it so much more interesting than the pile of garbage that the surface plot is.
Yeah. Now I also want to go ahead and say that maybe like other things in other books we read, this subtext was, and I dare to say, unintentional. Like, I don't know how powerful your subconscious can be when you write, but as we always say, if you are racist, your racism will come through in your book.
Yeah.
If you are sexist, your sexism will come through in your book.
If you like speedboats, that is all, you're just going to hijack every story you write.
Yeah. Now, and if you are unhappy with your marriage, it is going to hijack the story that you're writing. The main character of your book, if he is married, is going to be a piece of shit. Yeah. Otherwise, he's not going to be a piece of shit, but he will be your love interest. He will be the man that you want. You know, and this is the man, no one would want John. He's a piece of shit. He's literally portrayed as a piece of shit. He's a piece of shit and he doesn't get any better.
And look, the storytelling, while very like basic, is competent enough that I can say, if someone was sitting down and was writing like this is a genuine story about a guy who sucks in his marriage and finally overcomes that and becomes the true man, again, like that's a not so subtle thing of John becoming the true man. Yeah. Escaping the immaturity of the little boy complex he has at the start. You could say that like, you know, yes, she understands how to write that story, but there is no moment where John mans up and like becomes it. He just stumbles into a prophecy about the true man.
And then is separated from David and Alicia for some time.
And he's possessed by a god who solves the problem for him. Like, he doesn't do anything.
No.
He doesn't only overcome his immaturity and, like, take charge of his manhood or nothing.
Yeah, even in moments of danger, like when the serpent appears, he's, like, the most feeble, most courageless person in any book I've ever read. Yeah. The fact that he's the main character instead of Alicia is a pure insult to the book's worth.
Alicia she's just got her eyes on the obsidian dagger the whole time.
So she's the one with the passions. She's the one with the interests. She's the one with the conflicts. She's the one with all the characters surrounding her. She's the one that has any connection to the places that they're going. All John does is complain. That is ridiculous.
Yeah. So it has to be.
I mean, but that's where I'm like, it's not good enough to be intentional. So that's why I'm going like, it's subconscious. This is the ultimate passive-aggressive message to the husband you could ever read. Like, I don't know. I don't know where this is done elsewhere, but like, this is a book for one person, but it's not the author.
No.
That's the author's husband.
Yeah. So that was Ixchel's secret.
And there are some secrets in there. As always, there's always more. these stories that meets the eye. We thought this was going to be a punishment book, and it was a punishment book, but not for us, for some man out there.
Yeah, the wife's husband.
Some man out there who's been forced to read this over and over again and listen to how this man has acted so poorly towards his wife.
Yeah. So I think if you want a closer look at this book, you can either go and pick it up or you can check out our stream of reading it, which was a lot of fun to do.
Yes. Now, the stream, we picked up on the stream, you can find that over on YouTube.
Yeah, it's under the banner of Amazon Underworld.
Yes, and you can see us read it and comment on it and have fun while we're there. We'll be doing this more in the future with every book that we read.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, and it's great to hear people pitch in and have fun with us. You can see the book that we're reading at the same time, so it's kind of we did stop halfway, but that's because we kind of wanted to keep the
we got to rope you in for the episode.
Yeah,
the conclusion.
Otherwise, they are. Yeah.
So we will see you next time for the season finale of season 3.
Oh yes, the season finale, always a big book, usually a good book.
Yeah, that's true. Historically, it has been a good book.
Yeah. Now, Ixchel's secret is it's in this weird thing where it's like a Manatee Murders type. It's great because there's more to it than the book itself.
Yeah, like a Clash of the Blue Demons.
Yeah, there's more stuff to the book than just the trash writing. But, and again, these books are trash. I mean, they're just flying trash. I mean, it's awful. But as we said, there's juicy bits, and this one actually was, Ixchel's secret. She becomes Ixchel. The wife has a secret. The secret is that she's been banging other guys, and it's well deserved. Honestly, if the husband is that bad, she's open market for any guy that comes passing by.
So we'll see what we pick up for the last episode, but we hope it's a good one.
Yeah, not a high bar to jump over, really. To be honest, never is.
Never is.
Thank you everyone for listening and supporting the show. We really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to subscribe and join in the conversation with us on one of our platforms. You can find us on Discord, Twitter, and Reddit. You can support the show through Patreon or just by sharing the show with your friends. Thanks!